Hi, my name is Jen Held, and this week we reviewed how population health is everybody's responsibility. With 60% of Americans getting their health insurance from their work and good employees being more difficult to employ, employers need to ensure they are investing in their employees' health. Precarious work schedules, minimum wage, and paid family leave are all affecting the employee's health. First, we'll start about talking about precarious work schedules, and these include unpredictable work schedules, having little input into work schedules, having less than 2 weeks' notice for a schedule to be changed, and being on call at least one day a month, which of course is the very minimum for on call, anyways. Um, Researchers found that unpredictability and instability in a person's work schedule are linked with worse mental health for the employee. The employee's uncertainty about their financial income also leads to stress, depression, insomnia, and anxiety. Studies have found that unstable and unpredictable work schedules also are negatively associated with an increase in stress, sleep disorders, access to childcare because they like it more consistent and we're constantly having to pull our kids here and there. And the children also develop behavioral concerns. The healthcare workers in general are most likely suffering. This is what I learned. The healthcare workers in general are most likely suffering from complications of a precarious work environment. As a healthcare worker, I kind of relied on my experience as a nurse with this. They have little to no input into their schedules. They are required to keep certain days open or to be on call, or if they call in days or whatever they're called at different facilities. They frequently change hours, and it can be in 8 hours, 12 hours, 2 hours, due to staff and or patient needs. Then they're often asked to work back-to-back shifts with little sleep in between. For example, the article talks about acute sleep loss in 20 to 30% of shift workers. I would say that is very accurate, if not more true than we realized. Most nursing staff work 12-hour shifts. Usually 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Recently, several facilities have nurses who are actually working 3 a.m. to 3 p.m. or even 3 a.m. to 7 p.m. Nurses who have been working more overtime hours will often say they usually get about 6 to 8 hours between shifts if there's any nurse staff shortages. Usually it's a 12 hours, like I said, sometimes they'll make you pull a 16-hour shift. Nurses struggle with depression, anxiety, and acute lack of sleep. The facility's response when we bring these concerns is usually they offer more money as a job incentive. Nurses usually will work these shifts to help out, but still struggle with nurse burnout despite the financial incentives. This is most likely secondary to the scheduled nurses need to keep their jobs and like the extra income. However, you do have these side effects because you're just going to be burned out. That's why you limit the amount of overtime shifts you pick up. The next question is, do their findings support your underlying assumptions regarding the impacts of various work environment upon health behaviors and outcomes? Why or why not? I have always believed that on-call shifts cause increase in stress, worse outcomes in all aspects of life. At work, we are on call for at least 1 week out of an 8-week cycle. And it's easy to see who's on call that week when there's a meeting with all the managers together. The manager on call looks very tired, no matter what time of day it is. And at times they have difficulty functioning throughout the day. I can see now, after reading this article, that it is mostly because of the precarious hours. How does this aid in my understanding of the population health? I now see that my current working environment is set up for failure, at least a lot of dysfunction when we're on call. The staff gets no input as to when they will be on call and when they will be called into work. The only benefit is that we are only on call for 1 week every 8 weeks. Now, there is research available based on the facts around precarious work schedules, and it's easy to see how many healthcare workers working in a staffing shortage are struggling with burnout and mental health. For public health implications, the article does pretty good at describing this. It says policymakers' response to the rise in precarious employment have commonly focused on the economic dimensions and exemplified by appeals for a living wage. So they're focusing on the economy right now and giving people a living wage so that they don't have to worry so much about their finances. What should employers and policymakers do as a result? I honestly spent a lot of time looking at this one. I think they should follow the examples set by Costco and The Gap. Not usually the forerunners that I would imagine when I think about employees and different stress levels. Costco and The Gap have actually become frontrunners in taking care of their employees. I also believe that we should review Elizabeth Warren's The Schedules That Work Act of 2019. This will help keep employees to be more satisfied with their jobs. It will also then help under or unemployment rates at the state level and possibly even at the federal level if it keeps going. The next thing to talk about is minimum wage. The current federal minimum wage is $7.25 per hour. However, Michigan's was just increased to $9.87 an hour on January 1st, and that was an increase from $9.65. The researchers believe minimum wages affects the person's physical and mental health. Higher wages could make it easier for workers and their families to afford medical care, health insurance, homes in a safe environment. Researchers did find, though, that adult women who received 10% increase in minimum wages had a 1.6% reduction in smoking prevalence among pregnant mothers. And a dollar increase in pay led to a 1.1% decrease in prevalence of low birth weights. And among employed adults, not necessarily just pregnant ones, a dollar increase led to 16.1% reduction in absences from work due to illness. All in all, there is no bad reason to increase. From what we found in the research here that we've studied, when it comes to physical and mental health, there's no reason not to increase minimum wage. What I did learn that was pretty shocking to me is that while from 1979 to 2013, wages have increased for workers with the highest wages. So if you're on the top of that spectrum there, and it kept going higher, they keep climbing up like I would be expecting. However, when I looked at the lowest wages, they're relatively stagnant for those with middle wages and have fallen actually for those with very low wages. I never realized there was such a decline in very low wages. I assumed they were going up. So that was a little shocking to me when I read that. But they said there were different things that contribute to that, such as not as many factories around, not as many entry-level positions, and different factors. But still very disheartening. Do their findings support your underlying assumptions regarding the impacts of various aspects of the work environment upon health, behaviors, and outcomes? Why or why not? It does support my underlying assumption that it is better to support. I have always thought it's better to support your employees than anything else in your company. Your employees are what makes your company, and that's what you should be respecting and focusing your attention on. Like I said, good employees can make your company, bad employees can destroy it. The article states that an increase in wages may improve the quality of work output by improving workers' morale, reducing turnover, and increasing productivity. Overall, the evidence suggests that increases in minimum wages improve health for low-skilled, continuously employed adults. This goes along with the article when it says, overall evidence suggests that increase in minimum wage improves health for low-skilled, continuously employed adults. How does this work to help the population? The population is more is more than just several people in one area. Increasing the minimum wage does affect the bottom line and does help overall with poverty levels. The true improvement is seen in the employees themselves, not in the actual amount of money being given. What are the public health implications? Minimum wages are and do affect all measures of public health. It may allow the employees to have more money for healthy food, health care, home improvements, and security. On the other hand, that's not always positive. Higher wages could make cigarettes, alcohol, fatty foods, and illicit drugs more affordable. Another negative could be if the employees start to view this income as disposable and continue to have the same exact behaviors they were having before. What should employers and policymakers do as a result of all this information? It could be argued that combinations of minimum wages, the earned tax credit, and other anti-poverty programs may be the most effective approach to achieving desired economic and health outcomes. I think that increasing the minimum wage needs to be increased along with the anti-poverty programs and also the earned income tax credit. The next one we're going to talk about is the paid family leave policies. What is the research has found? One study found that the higher weekly benefit amount for the California Family Medical Leave Act did not increase leave duration, but might promote continuing jobs and future program participation or paid leave taking among high earning mothers. What did I learn? I learned that the U.S. is only one of 35 organizations for economic cooperation and development. With the OECD countries that do not offer paid leave to new mothers, and only 1 out of 8 countries that do not provide paid leave for fathers. I was under the assumption before reading this article that family medical leave was guaranteed as long as it was completed by a physician. My place of employment has the employee request the form from their department head. So they come in, they get their form from the department head for their family medical leave. The employee then brings it to their physician during their next visit. Once the form is resubmitted with the physician's signature and exactly how long they're going to need to be off, the facility then has to takes into account and approves it. How does it aid in your understanding of the population? I think that having the Family Medical Leave Act allows the employees to take care of themselves and their families. If the employee is taking care of themselves and or their loved ones, then I believe they will be better off with their overall health. They will not have to take extra days off to care for their family or leave early to take care of things. What are the public health implications? There are some medical leaves through the employers but they're pretty limited access plans and they are often unequal. I believe that if the family medical leaves were generated at the state level, then it would allow everybody the chance to have an even playing field, even when it comes to being approved for it. What should employers and policymakers do as a result? The employers and policymakers need to help ensure that it is paid time off from work so they can show that they care about their employees who qualify. The article did reference that being paid time off versus unpaid time off did not increase the amount of time the employee was off, which was pretty shocking. I would encourage employers and policymakers to start their programs as soon as possible. I also believe that since there is limited research, that they also begin collecting data for research when they start their programs. They also need to compare the different individuals and why they are needing time off. Ensure that the physician or healthcare professional list when the family medical leave paperwork is completed, whether it's going to be a one-time leave for an extended period or if it's going to be intermittent. That'll help with employment. And that is the end of my recording.